Well, it might be Good Friday, but it's not proving to be all that good if you're Sean Dyche, because we can bring you news on talkSPORT this morning. Burnley manager Sean Dyche has just been sacked. Dyche has gone from Burnley. Burnley, of course, trying to stave off relegation, which could become reality sooner than later. Third from bottom in the Premier League right now. It's been a tough season for them, but Sean Dyche and his players no doubt still thought that they would be able to avoid the drop, as they proved recently in a match by winning against Everton. But no, the board of directors at Burnley have decided time up, and Sean Dyche has been sacked by Burnley. So Arsenal Invincible Martin Keown is with me. So too, of course, Mr. Simon Jordan. Simon, you're becoming more of a journalist these days, my friend. I saw you leap out the studio and into action. What more can you tell us?
Well, I think it's very limited what I can tell you in terms of the reasons why. I mean, I can confirm, actually, obviously, that we now can confirm the fact he's been sacked.
Yeah, just in the last few moments.
Yeah. And that it doesn't paint a particularly good picture. I mean, if we're talking about getting sacked over Easter, then you would hope for a resurrection on Sunday, wouldn't you? But the bottom line is Burnley, without Sean Dyche, I don't think are going to survive in the Premier League. I've made lots of observations about the ownership model that bought this football club, and I've noticed they've started coming out in the press this week talking about the financial implications of being relegated, and the financial implications of being relegated are exacerbated by the way you bought the football club, loading it with debt, and now you're not going to be able to finance it, perhaps. But the bottom line is Sean Dyche, who signed a 4-year contract in the summer, has gone, and that 4-year contract probably does little but to protect him economically, so he'll get paid for leaving, and probably did get a decent return from that.
Yeah.
And perhaps he should, but
yeah,
it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, the chairman is Alan Pace at Burnley, and I know, Simon, you have been critical of him and the fashion in which that they took over at Burnley. But just in the last few seconds while Simon was speaking there, Burnley have confirmed it. Burnley Football Club can confirm the club has parted company with Sean Dyche, assistant manager Ian Wan, first team coach Steve Stone, and goalkeeping coach Billy Mercer. So they've all gone. And Burnley say Dyche was the longest serving manager in the Premier League, having been in charge of the Clarks for 9.5 years, overseeing a period which will go down as one of the most successful in this club's history. So while the club praises Sean Dyche, they've sacked him at the same time. The chairman, Alan Pace, has said this: firstly, we want to place on record our sincere thanks to Sean and his staff for their achievements at the club over the last decade. During his time at Turf Moor, Sean has been a credit both on and off the pitch, and then we get to it. However, results this season have been disappointing, and while this was an incredibly difficult decision, with 8 crucial games of the campaign remaining, we feel a change is needed to give the squad the best possible chance of retaining its Premier League status. The process of replacing Sean has begun. Further announcements will be made to supporters in due course. So Martin, Dyche is gone. Your reaction to that, but who gets it?
Well, first of all, I think the timing is a bit out here. Personally, Jim, I think that you're not listening.
I am now, sorry.
Good man. I think the timing's wrong. I've obviously, they've only had 4 wins all season. And you look at that and you think, well, okay, they've got a game against Watford coming up. Which games can they win? They're now 4 points behind Everton, which that incredible win for Everton last week turned it around. But they beat Everton, let's not forget, just 3 days before that. So it seems rather odd.
Beat Norwich, though. They got beat by Norwich.
I know. Simon's right. The Norwich result has done for them, hasn't it? In their eyes. It
is, but what can be changed by changing the manager? You've had stability for a number of years. You might as well have seen it through. That would have been the honourable thing to do, to let Sean Dyche stay in the role until the end of the season. And maybe
why is it honourable, Martin? What's honourable got to do with it?
Well, because I
think it's contract, so that's the honourability side of things.
Yeah, you're on the other side of the fence, but actually,
no, I'm asking you. I'm not on any side of the fence. I'm asking you to tell me why it's honourable to keep him. If you think you're going to get relegated underneath him, where's the honourability in that?
Because you don't want to lose the group. Because this club has always been about this manager. This period he's been there, and these players are particularly loyal. I mean, it was all very strange when Chris Wood, when they got rid of Wood to Newcastle in the transfer window. In a way, I think
they said it was triggered by a release clause that the other club met.
But nonetheless,
yeah. But Simon, you said that sent a message all its own, didn't you?
And I said that release clause didn't come into the summer.
It did, but in that period, I don't know whether Sean Dyche signed a new deal and that almost bought his silence. But before he signed that deal, he was asking for more money to be spent on the team, which wasn't forthcoming. Because this is a lack of investment over a number of years, which was affecting the way that he was trying to plan for the future. And now it's come to it's paying dividends in terms of it's not working.
Yeah.
So I think he's been a little bit let down. Okay, now he's going gracefully. We'll have to wait for the comments that come from him. But I still feel there was an opportunity here.
In fairness,
this has let almost Everton off the hook a little bit, because I don't see them
in
staying
fairness
up
to Sean,
now.
he wasn't asking for new players, and he actually signed his contract after the window had closed. So that makes no sense. If he was leveraging Burnley, he would have leveraged them inside the transfer
If you want to
window.
research 2 summers ago, he was going berserk because they weren't giving him enough
But
money.
we're not talking about 2 summers ago. We're talking about this summer.
But I'm saying that has a
about-
knock-on effect if you don't
But
put the
Burnley,
investment in.
Burnley were always going to spend a certain amount of money in the Premier League. They've always spent a certain amount of money, and eventually it was going to catch up with them. Last year they finished 4th and bottom, and they were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points clear, but they were getting closer and closer to it. This year, Burnley have actually spent more money on transfers than they spent on previous windows. So what he did 2 years ago is not relational to what he did this summer. And this summer he signed a 4-year contract.
Yeah, I heard you say a moment ago, who gets it, and you said you whispered to me.
You think he should
Simon,
be sacked then?
Who would
No,
want
I don't.
it?
Absolutely not.
Who would want to go into a situation like this?
Well,
because you're going into firefight.
Listen, you've got a Premier League club currently on your hands. You've got a Premier League club that's going to drop into the Championship with Premier League parachute payments.
Yeah.
So someone somewhere is going to want that step. Now, whether it means that you've got American owners in there, and I have been incredibly critical, and I hope to be proven wrong, that if they were to get relegated, the financial modelling of buying this football club with everybody else's money besides your own, in terms of the people that bought it, is going to come back and bite them. It's not the Glazers that can afford to service debt from Man United. This is Burnley, who cannot afford to service debt if they drop out of the Premier League.
Are they accepting relegation, those directors, this morning?
I think they have already accepted relegation by selling Chris Wood. I think they planned for it. I think they realised that selling Chris Wood was going to get them 25 million quid up front from Newcastle.
Yeah.
And ultimately they took it. They did a stage deal, I suspect, on the guy they brought in, and they got some cash flow out of it. Now all of this is supposition, and we'll see in the fullness of time. But to take shot... Take
him out now.
I never like giving someone too much influence in a football club, because then you're constantly beholden to them. But this man, Dyche, was the glue, the adhesive. He was the thing that held Burnley in the Premier League with the group of players that were a bit ragtag and bobtail, and he kept them there. Now, to take him out now...
At the 11th hour?
Makes no sense. Makes no sense. Unless... if you've got an immediate replacement...
What's Big Sam doing, you wonder?
With respect to Sam, I think those days have gone. I think West Brom had a better chance than Burnley did last year, and Sam had a longer run at it, and he didn't get the opportunity to turn that around.
I mean, to be honest, Martin, to me, to sack Dyche this morning with 8 games to go, they've obviously got somebody up the sleeve they're going to bring in. It's a red-a-dare job, firefight it in an attempt to stay up. Now, obviously, Allardyce would fit the bill. One or two others probably would as well. But they know who they want. This should be followed up, I would think, with a fairly swift appointment.
Do you know what? I really would like to see who's coming in. I don't think it's Sam Allardyce. I think that ship has sailed. I
do too.
I don't think it's time. The timing's right. Have they given up? You know, it's crazy because you like to look at it and you think, well, okay, Dyche has been quite loyal there, hasn't he? Incredibly loyal.
Quite loyal.
Okay, and it's gone both ways. You think about the relegation,
9
promotion.
years, 166 days.
Went down with them, came up with them. Would he not be the right person to do that? Or do they feel we've done that journey already? And is it the new ownership? I'm not even sure we can ask Simon that, because there was a suggestion that they had timeframes where they had to buy the remaining shares. And I'm not sure they've actually met some of those timeframes. They've met them. So they're very much in charge now.
They've got trigger payments, and the payments to Mike Garlick and the other shareholders were cemented during the course of this season, so there's very little likelihood that they can take it back, and there's very little likelihood they want it back.
Yeah.
The bottom line is you look at it now and say, what is it that Burnley are attempting to achieve? What is it they will replace? What will they get in return for it? I do think what's very interesting is we're not hearing, or we need to hear, the reaction from Burnley fans, because we're looking from the outside in, going, Dyche has done a wonderful job. I have heard in the background that Burnley fans have been a little bit dissentful about some of the selections.
It's not been the normal Burnley this season. It's been really disappointing.
He's also been very, very even more relaxed than he normally is. He's even been almost a little bit disconnected. You know, he was very relaxed after the Norwich game. This was an opportunity. You've just beaten Everton. You've beat Norwich. And you need to beat Norwich because Everton have just done Man United. So you need to cement what you've done. And you go out and you're unlucky. You're unlucky because you missed some chances. But Sean seemed so laissez-faire about it. And I thought to myself at the time, without trying to read into people's body language with the benefit of hindsight, I would have expected you to be a little bit more
angry,
frothy.
Just before we go to the break, and we want to hear from Burnley fans, I'll set it up as we go to the break. Simon, second guess it for me. If you were the chairman, Alan Pace, and when you were at Palace, you get rid of managers time and again. And I don't mean that facetiously. Would you have considered sacking Sean Dyche with 8 games to go?
If I had an absolute cast iron, copper bottom understanding of why I was doing it, what was happening within my playing group, and what I had to replace it, at this time, yes, I would. if I knew that I had a real solid response to come back with. If I was doing it because I needed to make a change, because I was listening to senior players, I was listening to other people in my ear that were saying to his time has been and gone, then I'd be a bloody fool.
But you only sack him if you lose belief in him and you don't believe he's in the best interest of the football club to
Correct.
be in charge.
And you lose belief in him by seeing in his eyes what you can't see back that you want.
Okay, Burnley fans, don't be backward and coming forward. We want to hear from you and fans of the game in general, because after 9 years, 166 days in charge, the longest serving manager in the Premier League and the third longest serving in the English Football League, Sean Dyche has been sacked this morning by Burnley. Is that the right decision? Could you call it a brave decision? Was it necessary with so few games left this season? And have they done it to attempt to turn things around at the 11th hour and get Burnley stay in the Premier League? Let's hear what you think. What are you thinking on Good Friday? 03717 223344 810 89. Dyche gone.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.